Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. I'm back with another Nightmare Queens video, and today I'm going to be talking about Triad by Mary Leader. Triad by Mary Leader was originally published in 1973, and it's about a character called Branwen. She and her husband Alan have a baby boy, and he dies unexpectedly while he's still a baby, and the couple decide to move from their apartment to an old dilapidated house. After dealing with this tragedy, they are hoping that throwing themselves into this renovation project will give them something else to focus on. Alan's job takes him on the road a lot, so Branwen is left in the house alone for quite a lot of the time, and she starts to experience some blackouts. There are periods of time that she has no recollection of, and events and conversations that are recounted to her that she doesn't remember happening. This becomes very confusing for her, and she's still trying to settle into this house and work on renovating it alongside working at her freelance writing. One of the features of this old house is this speaking tube system, which allows people to talk to other people in different rooms, and she starts hearing noises coming through these tubes and the name Rhiannon. And she remembers her cousin from childhood who was named Rhiannon, and she died while she was quite young, and so this brings back a lot of memories for Branwen, and she's trying to piece that memory together with what's happening now. She starts to wonder, is she being haunted by Rhiannon, or possibly even being possessed by her? Or is it all in her head? When I first started reading this book, I thought it was going to be a pretty typical haunted house story, but it actually goes in a different direction, one that I wasn't expecting, and one that's kind of hard to say too much more about without giving it away. But I will say I really enjoyed it. It's really quite unique, and there are so many interesting elements in here in what is quite a short book. It has supernatural elements along with psychological themes. There is a ton of folklore and mythology in here. Branwen's ancestors are from Wales in the UK, so there is some Welsh folklore that comes into play along with other mythologies. There are a lot of really interesting ideas in here, and I will say by the end I wasn't 100% satisfied with how all of the elements came together, but I did still really enjoy it overall. It was a really interesting read. There's a lot of symbolism in here as well, and her writing is really beautiful and evocative, and I really enjoyed her style. Another thing I really enjoyed was when she's flashing back to her childhood and talking about this rural area that she grew up in, because I also grew up in a rural area, so I really liked the way she talked about the landscape and the nature and the animals. It was all really lovely. And I'll read a short passage to you so you can get an idea of her writing style. Any house will talk to you if you'll let it, but old houses babble incessantly, which is not surprising. Did that floorboard creak from dryness, or from a weightless step? Is that a mouse scuttling between the walls, or fingers running over the keyboard of studs? Is it the wind that moans in the chimneys and around the gables and parapets on a windless day, or is it... Yeah, I really enjoyed her writing style. It was very easy to get into, and it had like a really mesmerising quality that just drew me in and made me want to keep reading. I had never heard of this book or this author before until earlier this year, when I just happened to stumble upon this copy in a secondhand bookshop, and it looked really intriguing, so I decided to pick it up. And when I looked into it online, I saw a lot of references to the song Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac, and it turns out that this book was Stevie Nicks' inspiration to write that song, so that's a really interesting tidbit. Unfortunately, I couldn't find out much information about Mary Leader herself. It seems that she had another horror novel called Salem's Children that came out also in the 1970s. Has a really interesting premise, but sadly the reviews don't seem too good, which is a shame. And other than that, I couldn't really find out anything about her, so if you know anything more, then I'd love to hear about it. But I'm really glad I decided to pick this one up. It was a really unique and enjoyable read, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video.